Hey class, this is number 2 and the final audio seminar for this particular learning module, number 4. And it is all about mobile computing and location marketing. To a very large extent, it mirrors, with the exception of the location marketing, a discussion from the last 2 chapters about social networks and such. And really, this chapter is more about how those different mediums are accessed rather than what they are per se. Smartphones have been around now for a while. They call them smartphones. In my online classes, I like to talk about how the iPhone is not really a phone at all. A phone is just one function that it performs. Rather, instead, they're really an entertainment. Some people would say they're a computer. I don't really like that term either. I think they're more of an entertainment and communication vehicle. And you can communicate obviously in a number of different ways, from talking on the phone to texting, emailing, so on and so forth, podcasting. And in that process of communicating, they can be very entertaining. So you can play games, apps, so on and so forth. And I think that we're comfortable with the concept of a phone, but again, anymore, that's just one thing that they do. And one of the things that the younger generations are very comfortable doing is engaging through these discussion boards and podcasts and stuff and social network through the phone very differently, in a very different manner, I think, than older generations like myself, who still prefer to do those sorts of engagements through my computer, maybe my iPad to some extent too, for the very simple reason that if I do all this stuff on the phone, I can't read the damn thing. So I marvel at everybody that uses it to search for things as they do. I respect it, and if my eyes were still 20/20, dang it, I probably would do that too. I do use it for texting and such. It is really good for messaging. I'm not, as a individual, enamored in the least at trying to carry on a conversation through texting. I think it leaves too much potential air for interpretation, but again, to the younger generations, I say, have at it. I think one of the great things that have been perfected very quietly, actually, over the last 3 to 5 years is this thing of mapping our locations, location mapping, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I think I talked in the last lecture about various discussion groups that develop around maladies, and now this particular chapter discusses that, again, how it's accessed, and calling them branded social networks, how it's accessed in a number of different manners, including through smartphones and such. And so these different pieces of equipment, like a smartphone, is allowing the spread or development of these branded social networks on a much more mega basis. And again, we come back to virtual communities that there's not many games I personally play on my cell phone for the very reason that I said about reading documents and stuff. I just find it very hard to kind of see what the hell is going on. I like it a little bit bigger, but for younger generations, it's again, it is the path through which these markets are evolving and growing, and certainly the catalyst for why everybody above the age of 3 wants to have their own cell phone. Now, location-based social networking marketing is just a phenomenal resource for so many businesses. I tell the story that every search we've ever done is on the internet, is saved by Google, any Google search, by the way. And once upon a time, not all that long ago, Google tried to buy a company called Axiom, spelled, I believe, ACXIOM, Axiom. Anyway, if you Google Axiom, they've been around since the 50s, and they were sort of the original Mother Earth database gathering company. And all your credit card purchases and your Safeway Club purchases go through, that information is provided to Axiom. And so they have a really good database on everybody, and they essentially know your name and they know your address at all times, even as that changes. They just keep a running database on virtually everybody. It's very hard to get off the grid when you talk about Axiom. And several years ago, Google tried to buy Axiom. They were turned down because of the government. And what they wanted to do, because Google identify you as an IP address. They don't necessarily know your name and address. And they have algorithms, on the other hand, that would allow them, had they been able to buy Axiom, that would have identified you. They would have been allowed you to merge your IP address to your real life address and name. And so that was a little scary to the government, because if every search you've ever done is in fact saved on Google servers, which they are, then nobody would ever be able to run for political office again, probably, if they actually knew your name. Now, Google tried to get around that by selling their phone, which didn't go that well, because again, they could have directly connected your name and address to your IP search identification. And they are reintroducing the cell phone, by the way, a cell phone product into the marketplace, so that they can create that loop that would allow them to do so, to identify you as a real name user, which at this point I think is almost moot anymore in the marketplace, because there's so many. I'm sure they could buy information from Facebook if they haven't already and do the same thing. There's so much information on any one person out there anymore. But the really neat thing about it, obviously, is that they can track your habits. If they know more or less who you are and what your shopping habits are, and they merge that or marry that at any given moment with your location, obviously they can put information in front of you, which is what they do, that has direct application, not just to who you are, but to where you are. So if they happen to know that you're in the town of Chicago, you're likely visiting, maybe on work, based on they're tracking your habits around town during the day anyway. They can tell you that it's lunchtime and they know you like sushi, so hey, there's a sushi restaurant nearby. Who pays for that? The sushi restaurant pays Google to put ads in front of the people in their immediate area in the moment that would have an interest in their cuisine. And that would apply obviously to all kinds of cuisine. Is also could put in front of you sales that are going on in the moment in different stores that are nearby you, possibly giving you a coupon of the moment that if you don't get over there and use it in the next 30 minutes will expire. There's all kinds of ways to come at this. So certainly I think we're going to see more and more of these smartphone applications married with location marketing by all the different or the majority of all the significant vendors, and we're just going to be continually to be inundated with promotions, but hopefully they're promotions that are of better value to us because of the niche perspective that is taken on it. And that is exactly why Facebook stock has gone up as much as it has over the last year in particular, that more and more people are using Facebook as a way to, in concert with location marketing, to it comes from two things. One, the ability to identify target market types within Facebook users itself, and then in concert with location mapping, you can put through the telephone or for the smartphone, I'm sorry, promotions in front of different users that have really actually on a per percentage basis across all other methods have a pretty good chance of affecting some kind of a response. QR codes are another way to facilitate mobile promotions, because you can put these very efficient QR codes that can be scanned directly onto a phone, so they can be used to, could be a promotion nested in there for a theater coupon or a coupon in a restaurant that can be used again in the moment or over some period of time. But anyway, in either case, it's a very effective, powerful way to link mobile computing with location-based marketing. And finally, I've given you two URLs here around two different videos that you can watch. One that just gives a very simple 2-minute overview of location marketing, and the other one more of a portent or window on the ultimate effect on retail by mobile marketing. So take a look at these at your leisure. Neither one of them are included in questions.